You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
Everybody around here is nursing a serious horse show hangover, but never fear. We've got all the updates from the Maryland 5-Star, the Thoroughbred Makeover, the Pan Ams, and more this week. Also, maybe some Halloween costume inspiration. Thanks for tuning in.
From Heels Down Mag, a podcast where horse pros chat about what's happening in the horse world over drinks. Welcome to Happy Hour.
I'm Justine Griffin.
I'm Jessica Payne.
And I'm Ellie Woznicka. Welcome to episode 117 of Heels Down Happy Hour.
What up, guys?
How's it going, guys?
I feel like it's been an eventful time between podcasts for us. We've been busy people.
It's been a lot, a couple weeks.
Is everybody home now? Like everyone's home?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. I know. It feels weird for all of us to be home.
We're all home. No one's driving. No one's somewhere else. Like, that's amazing.
I know. I feel like we should cheers to that alone.
Yeah, we should.
For sure.
And speaking of that, Justine, you must have had some really good drinks in Kentucky.
Yes. Okay. So I want to give a shout out to Tootie's Tavern. I don't know if you guys have been to Tootie's when you've been at the Kentucky Horse Park.
Where's Tootie's?
It's a little cocktail cart. They might be new. I don't know. I don't remember them from previous Land Rovers, but they were in the Hunter Jumper Complex, like kind of back where the barns are, in between the two main. Yeah, like where there's like some like permanent vendor space, but they're just like a little cocktail cart that they haul in.
So I've seen, I think this one, but they've been closed every time I've been there.
Oh, well, they were not closed when I was there, thank God. But so they just do like beer, wine, and spirits, and I'm like, this is my type of place. And
you're like, this is my jam.
And I was like, it was literally within eye shot of my stall. So Tootie's became a nice stop at the end of every day while I was at the Thoroughbred Makeover. But luckily, they were open every day at the Makeover, and they had a specific cocktail just for the Makeover Horse Show. So in honor of that, I thought that could be our cocktail of the week. Naturally, it's called the Thoroughbred, and it's 1.5 ounces of Smirnoff Caramel Kissed vodka. So fancy vodka. 1 ounce of sour apple pucker, and then you fill the rest of your glass with apple cider.
Ooh. Yum.
I know. That.
Totally not what I thought you were going to bring from Kentucky. But it sounds really, really good, especially this time of year.
It was super good. I'm not gonna lie, I partaked in quite a few. But it felt festive, and the first time I'd been in Kentucky this time of year, where all the leaves are changing and the weather was crisp and cool, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not in Florida. This is lovely.
Right.
So with the apple cider, it made me feel like very festive to be in a place with real seasons. So. So a shout out to Tootie's Tavern. We will link to them in the show notes, so you next time you're at the Kentucky Horse Park, you can know to give them a shout out. So this episode is brought to you by Purina, and our news section is brought to you by the Heels Down Spark, the only daily equestrian newsletter. It's free. You can subscribe by going to bit.ly/sparkbyhd. All right, Jess, you've got news for us. Why don't you kick us off?
I do. You guys, Maryland was amazing this past week. And to watch, Austin O'Connor went before Doug in the first two phases. And so I got to see a little bit more of that horse that I really didn't know about. And it's an incredible, incredible horse. And then to have the Irish win was amazing, because we went back and we were watching, the final, I think we made it back for the final 6 or 8 to jump. And so we were watching because there was a quick break, which was very nice. And we were just like, you had Ollie, you had William, and the rails had been coming down all day. At that point, nobody had jumped double clear. There had been some jumping with some clear over the fences, but still had time. Time was very hard to make. And at the end of the day, I mean, he had an amazing save in the show jumping, which we were all like, oh. But at the end of the day, he was a class act, and it was amazing to watch the Irish win. They hadn't won in since 65 or something ridiculous like that. Like it was like 58 years or something just incredible. And so to have that happen, I mean, everybody was just on their, like out of their chairs, cheering everything. It was incredible, incredible win. And so the whole thing, I mean, when he finished his round, he was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. Cause he was like, I had that one miss, but like he was spot on perfect because he ended up with the only double clear of the day to end up winning it. And it was, I'm sure we've got Doug coming on in a little bit. I'm sure he'll talk to you about, we all will, about how hard it was and how difficult, but it was just the whole weekend was amazing. We watched Mia Farley. She's so young. It was her first 5-star go in. She was the only double clear for cross country.
It was unreal.
It was unreal. So, normally it's not, I mean, it was a fair track. It was a great track. I was very privileged. I got to actually go in the car with Ian and him kind of explain of how he thought we should have, how Doug should be riding it and everything else. So it was so fun, but it was, and then we had Michelle Valancourt's show jump course, and it was a test of everybody to be there. And it was some really good rounds. And, there were a lot of good rounds, but to have, one of each phase only jump double clear. And, it was just to be there. It was amazing. So it was a lot of fun and incredible, and hats off to everybody because they rode really well around that track.
Yeah, no, it was, I was teary eyed. Geez, cross country day watching Mia, but then again, for Austin's finish, God, he's such a, like, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Like,
yeah.
Seriously, his interview, like watching him realize that he won. I mean, I was bawling. I'm going to cry right now thinking
everybody
about it.
Wanted to, because he was so genuine and such an, he was just thrilled. And I think, he was elated and as shocked as all of us type thing, like at the end of the day, he was, he didn't have anything else to say. And so it was quite amazing.
Oh, it was very cool.
So hands down, that is, I think for the Irish to come back after, like 58 years, like that's amazing. So
absolutely. One for the history books.
Sure. Exactly. Ellie, what do you have for us?
Well, I have good news that equestrian has been confirmed as being in for the LA Olympics in 2028, which is very exciting.
And it includes eventing. So that is amazing.
Yeah, because they had to prove, the universality, the integrity, the fairness, gender equality, and popularity of the eventing. So it was just fantastic to hear that dressage, show jumping, and eventing will all be approved and in for the, our home Olympics in Los Angeles, which is really exciting. The IOC, though, did deny the Pentathon's equestrian segment. So they said that they'll approve it if it replaces their show jumping with like obstacle racing
something else.
After what the controversy in Tokyo.
Yeah, I'm excited. LA, home soil.
I know. So now it's just stay tuned of what venue it will be at. So it'll be exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. What have you got, Justine?
Well, so another sort of patriotic bit of news. As we're taping this podcast, the Pan American Games are going on, and it's been really exciting for equestrian sports already. We have some early dressage results. The American team, which is a fairly young team this year, really came out like totally guns blazing, and they won again. They took home gold, and it was the 9th time in the Pan American Games history that USA has claimed that title, which is always exciting.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
But on top of that, it was exciting across the board for the podium. Team Brazil secured the silver medal, which is also history making for their country, which is awesome to see. And then Canada took bronze, which they really needed this. It secured their spot for Paris. So now they have an Olympic qualification, which is great. And there's still a whole lot of sport to come out of the Pan American Games, which is in Chile this year. So keep your eye out for more news and live streams from that, because there's still show jumping and eventing to come out.
Yeah, and it will be Yeah, between, there's just like the dressage, there's a lot of teams vying for spots for the Paris Olympics. So it is one of their last shots. So we will be posted and tuned, basically.
I know. It's going to be a nail biter for sure for a lot of countries.
Yeah. Thankfully, the eventing has already qualified for the U.S., but now we just have to watch for the rest of them.
Absolutely.
Just a shout out to everyone who contributes to this podcast on Patreon. We really appreciate everyone who continues to make this podcast possible. If you are interested in checking out all the exclusive content we have on Patreon or wanting to help donate to make this podcast possible, go check out patreon.com/Hillsdown, and that's patreon.com/Hillsdown.
So for our product review this month, I wanted to talk more about Purina Amplify, which is a fat-based supplement from Purina. And Jess, I know you guys feed Purina feeds in your barn. Is this a supplement that you use too?
Yeah. So when it actually first came out, we started feeding it as like a top dressing, very similar to the Outlast, which we've talked about multiple times, which is the gastric support supplement. Amplify is more for the fat and everything else. And so what I love about Purina is actually it is in both the grains we feed. So we don't actually, so when they reformulated the Purina Ultium Gastric Course Feed, it has Amplify in it. And then as well as we feed the Omeline 500, this is not a feed that a lot of people know about. It's a sweet feed that we truly have loved it. We've been feeding it for probably 10 plus years, maybe 15 years now. I wouldn't even know. And funny enough, a lot of people didn't really feed it, and they were trying to like get it out there that it is such a good product that Doug's actually on this bag. So we love it when it came out. We were like, it's so cool because the whole Purina team asked, why did you pick 500? And because of my background in animal nutrition and everything, especially equine nutrition, I fell in love with that feed in particular, as well as the Ultium. So we have been very privileged that the Amplify is in both of those. And we actually don't have to feed it as a top dressing anymore because they're both complete feeds that do so well for our horses, depending, everybody gets a different amount. And then we have a ration balancer as well that we feed of theirs. And it really kind of is all in one, that the Amplify, if you're looking for something, years and years ago, we used to have to feed it kind of a top dressing because they didn't have all of it in there. The Amplify and the Outlast were two of our kind of staple products. So if you're looking for something because your horse needs a little bit more fat, or its coat doesn't look as good, or all the other benefits, the Amplify is a very easy grain as like a top dressing. You don't feed it in a scoop. You feed it as like a little cup. It is amazing.
Ooh, yeah. So I started feeding this to Wyatt, my thoroughbred, just because, coming off the track, it's always a challenge. Yeah, yep. Right. Of just like finding the right balance of what he needs nutritionally, and just to help him kind of reset his body as he's going through so much change. So if you read our review on our website, you'll see a nice photo of him. I mean, this supplement really helped him just like balloon and blossom in all of the right ways. He has this
without getting hot, especially for the thoroughbreds.
Right. And I loved the ingredients in it that really supported all the right things to give his body what he needed without giving him that extra dose of energy. Right.
Yep. So, we used to supplement all that. I used to feed rice bran oil, and I used to feed, I'd flax seeds and all of this. And now Purina has made it so easy. You don't have to do any of that. You just feed a little cup. You don't have to do all the added oils and extra stuff.
Right. So it's 30% fat from rice bran, flaxseed, and vegetable oils. And then it also is quite high in antioxidants like vitamin E and a blend of fatty acids. And I really noticed, not only does it help put weight on him, but it really gave his coat like this lovely shine. Like he's full of dapples.
Yes.
He went into the makeover in October, and like a really weird time of year where his coat was changing, full of dapples and being so shiny. And I thought that, I really believe it was the Amplify.
It is amazing. And
I've never met a horse that won't eat it. Like they love the taste.
Well, because it's not a powder. It's not an oil. Like a lot of times I find that like when you add powders or certain pellets or whatever else, like it's kind of got that like silky kind of thing to it. So like they seem to like mixing well with other grains as well. And so it used to just literally just go right on top and mix in with the feed that they didn't really know a difference. And I honestly, for some of ours, it made them eat their grain a little bit better, to be honest.
Yeah. I could see that. It's a great product to try. I like that it comes in various sizes. I used to just buy the 50-pound bag. It lasts me forever. It was great.
It was perfect because you like feed the smallest amount of it. It's right. It's so nice.
So it's something to check out if you're looking for either something like to help you get through winter. I feel like that's a great time to try this product. If you're an OTTB owner, this is something to try. Overall, I'm a big fan. You could check out our review on heelsdownmag.com and find Amplify wherever you find Purina feeds at your local feed store. All right, so it's been a minute since we've had Doug on the show, but Doug Payne is back, fresh off an 8th place finish in the 5-star at Maryland. Hey, Doug, how's it going?
No, not bad at all.
Thanks so much for stopping by. You've been quite busy. Why don't we start right with Maryland? Congratulations on your finish with Quantum Leap. How did it go?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. This year was by far the strongest tests that we've seen in quite a long time. I was just talking even with the Europeans, and they said it's bigger than anything they've seen in recent memory, Badminton, Burley, whatever. And so it's a true test, and Quantum he really was excellent. Can't complain at all. There was, a 5-star of that caliber. Nothing's always going to be 100% perfect, but he's the most genuine creature out there and fights for it. And you absolutely can't complain with another top 10. I think this is his 5th top 10 at 5-star out of 6 attempts. So pretty exciting.
That's amazing. I love him. It's been really fun to just watch him just get more and more confident, watch you guys.
Oh yeah. Around. No, I mean, he's
the sweetest horse.
He's for sure the best. And at this stage he's 12, so he's kind of just getting there where we're, to the sort of sweet spot where I think we can really make a reliable, performance every time out. And so it's very, very exciting.
So, okay. I mean, this is my adult amateur brain talking, but that cross-country course was freaking wild, man.
It was wild. It wasn't just your adult amateur brain. I was thinking it was pretty wild.
Yeah, like I'm thinking in recent memory of like me, I think it's the craziest cross-country course I've seen, like technically speaking. Like I just think it was amazing. What were your thoughts walking it? How did it ride?
Well, my best friend called and was like, "Is he ready for this?" Like, she's like, "Jessica, the pictures are big. I don't even want to know what it looks like in real life." Like,
yeah, man.
She's like, "Thank goodness I'm about to go back 5-star next year." And so she's like freaking out. She's like, "Thank goodness I wasn't there to watch, or I probably would chicken out for next year."
Oh my gosh.
It's one of those things. Generally speaking, no 5-star small, right? So you generally go out, you walk it once, you're like, it's, you get a couple of complexes that make you feel a little uneasy, but then your second, third time around, you're like, okay, actually, this isn't that bad. We got a good plan for this. And coming out in here, there were kind of still 3 big unknowns that as you're cantering up to it, you're like, well, let's see how this goes. We're going to find out. Exactly. So, but I think that's kind of a hallmark of Ian Stark as a course designer of his courses, is that it really forces kind of a more instinctual ride and experience around. And so it's never going to be perfect all the way around. You're going to have to adapt to oddball situations, and the ones that can adapt are going to really do well.
I mean, Mia Farley for her first 5-star.
Holy cow.
Showed us all how to do it.
I was teary-eyed. It was amazing. On a thoroughbred. It was awesome.
It was amazing.
Yeah. It was incredible. I did notice, Doug, that in show jumping, you wore an air vest over your show coat. Can you tell us more about that? Is this like a new
Yeah,
change?
we've had I've been using the combo vest from Free Jump for a bit now on cross country, because the just the safety benefit that has, it's pretty wild, because the air is actually on the inside of the vest and the sort of foam part on the outside. And it's significantly safer based on their research than sort of the Converse, which is pretty conventional. And it's also a bit lighter. And so I done that. And then we were at I don't know. We were at a 2-week stint to try on day one in the 80s, and I totally got dropped at the first fence on this.
Oh, no.
And so, it was all fine, right? But then we get finished up, and Jess is like, this is stupid. We already have a relationship with them. And it was through our good friend, Catherine Winter at Ride EquiSafe. And she's like, you know what? We can get the other one. You might as well be wearing the vest at all times. If you're willing to wear it on cross country, had I been hurt day one of a 2-week stint, I mean, the financial implications, the health implications, it's all there. So I think it's an argument that you can't really go against. And the great thing with those, the pure jumping vests, they're very, very light. You don't hardly notice you're wearing it at all. And I have fallen in it, and certainly a much better experience than falling without it. So we'll continue to have it on for sure.
So I love Maryland, like the 5-star. I really want to go now that it's.
Well, you need to go.
I know.
I was speaking to Joni Morris, who's one of the sort of key members running the entire place. I don't know what her formal title is. Forgive me, Joni. But I did ask her. We were talking as it was wrapping up on Sunday, and she said the attendance figures this year versus last, it was twice as many spectators there this year.
Cow.
Which, pretty cool. So, the location is it's a stunning piece of property, and they have done just a wonderful job. It's interesting. It's a different field than Kentucky. It's more of honestly, it feels more like a European event than it does an typical American event. And not to say one's better than the other, but it's just a little bit different experience. And they've done just an awesome job. And the conditions, the footing was perfect. That arena is really, really cool. It's kind of tight, honestly. It looks probably bigger on camera, but when you're in the ring, it's not a huge arena. And Michel Valancourt did the show jumping design, and I think he did an excellent job making the most of the space they have. But it leads to a really fun experience, I think, for everybody involved.
It looks like a great spectator event.
For sure.
I'd love to go tailgate on cross country day.
And then the trade fair is cool. They had corgi races. Our kids were totally obsessed. They absolutely loved it. Well, and actually Sam, who is grooming for us, she has got a corgi as well. So that was she's like, my heart is complete here. It's full. It's like she got her corgi fix for the week. But it was it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
So what's next for you guys and the horses? Any plans leading up to Paris?
Yeah, so this would be, it's a great thing now. Quantum is fully qualified for Paris. Not that he's guaranteed any sort of team selection, but I think he'd be in a very short list of horses that would be up for it. And we did need this to sort of check the box to say, okay, this is your next step on the way. And he now would have a well-deserved vacation. And then we'll slowly start ramping up for next year, which would be probably our first competition is that Grand Prix eventing, which they boosted the prize money up to $100,000 in Aiken, which is really exciting at Bruce's Field. I think that's mid-March, basically. So he'll end up maybe show jumping a bit before, but that'll be the first event he would do for the season. And then our other horses, probably 80% are jumping now. So we still are, we're headed to Split Rock in 2 weeks from now. And we'll have 2 in the FEI there. And then, I don't know, it's a whole boatload of horses, probably 15 or 16, I think, that are coming along with. So that'll be busy. And then we finish up our year at the Duke Children's Hospital benefit that runs right here in Raleigh. And that'll be our last show for the year.
Nice.
Awesome.
So, Doug, I mean, obviously you've always dabbled in show jumping. I know the stallion you guys have is also in the Hunter Derbies occasionally. So
yeah. Oh, it crushed me. I had the very last rail down in the first round week or 2 weeks ago. So I mean, he finished 9th, but it was soul crushing because it was like probably the first round, the first trip around that was like, I was like, okay, we actually have this. And then sure as hell, the last oxer behind, and I'm like, and I did the high option. I'm like, oh, I should have totally weeded out. So it was funny, but he was excellent. But we're probably 80% jumping right now. We've got 3 FEI jumpers, and we've got sort of a full-on string from 4-year-old up at this point.
I know. So that's my question. Is this like a long-term shift for you guys?
Yeah,
like maybe away
we've got
from eventing?
we've got 4 event horses left. And we're going to roll with these guys until they're finished. So, I mean, that's still, I'm thinking kind of the 5-ish year plan, maybe 7. Quantum is 12. And then we've got the Stallion Cuberon that does the derbies. He's 8 this year. And then Camarillo will do his first 5-star in the spring. He's currently 9. And so, and then we also have a horse called Cadillac Ranch just moving up to intermediate. And so really that crew, we're going to roll with those guys until they're finished up. But we've always, we're just not in a financial position. We can typically go out and buy horses that are competing at the level.
Right.
And so we've always gone towards weanlings or really young babies. And so now everything that we're buying from this point forward is jumping. So we're kind of slowly working in that direction. And, our kids are now 3 and 5. So by the time this phase would happen, probably they're 10-ish ballpark, and it would just free up a bunch more time that we could spend with them. And, if they want to ride, that's great. And if they don't, we'd have a bit more time to be able to, hang out with them and enjoy life with them growing up as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there was like a mindset behind that shift, because it's feels like a big one for you guys.
Yeah, it's been in the works now for, I don't know, probably. Yeah, slowly in the works for quite some time. And, it's one of those things, jumping big jumps is fun too. And there's a lot to be learned from the top level of any discipline, really. So a lot of the stuff we're learning in jumping is directly applied to the event horses, and then vice versa. And, you watch the really good hunter riders. They're exceptional. It's awesome. So, we've got kind of got the whole thing going at the moment.
Man, that's awesome. And then I know the Ginger mare is doing the dressage.
Yeah, so she should do her first Grand Prix next year. That'd be the plan. So
wow, pretty cool.
On the bucket list. I've got a USCF silver, and I want to get the gold
Good
for sure. So
why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, you got it.
She's got all the ability. Got all the ability. So it's basically there. So we're gonna pull that trigger in the spring probably.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Doug, thanks for hanging with us and taking a few minutes.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll have to bring you back soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Your horse has unique feed needs, and Purina has you covered. From breeding and growing to senior horses, from performance horses to easy keepers and everything in between, Purina has an extensive portfolio of research-backed options for your horse. There's no shortcut for quality nutrition. Cheaper isn't cheaper if it doesn't work. Put their research to the test. Find optimal nutrition at any level at your local Purina retailer or visit purinamills.com to learn more. So, Justine, I've been dying. I've seen all the pictures. You looked like you had so much fun. You have to tell us about the Thoroughbred Makeover. Let's start with, how was the travel? How did Wyatt haul? How did it start off?
Oh boy, yes. So I am freshly back from Kentucky, and yeah, this was a big trip for me. I'm not Courtney. I'm not somebody who's used to driving in the big old truck through the night. So, to be honest, a lot of the anxiety I had was just the trip,
To get there.
Yeah, to get there and get home and be safe. So, I am, I think y'all know me well enough to know that I am a type A, super planner person. So I made sure the truck and trailer were good, well in advance. I, dropped the trailer off for service. I put new tires on the trailer and my truck, actually. Got both all, squared away, because I just did not want to have any problems.
No.
And then where Wyatt lives, across the street from the dressage barn, Farmer Jerry is what we call him, is the property owner. He's just the nicest guy, with cows, pigs, all the farm animals you can imagine on one side. And then we just rent this empty horse barn from him. And he's literally across the street from the dressage barn. His whole life, he's retired now, he ran auto body shops. So he also gave me peace of mind, because he ran over all of my truck and trailer before I left. Gave
Perfect.
Me an extra spare tire, so I had 2. God forbid I needed them. But
that's excellent.
I know. He was the sweetest guy ever. Made me feel really good about hitting the road. So I worried for Wyatt, though, because it's a long trip, and I shoved him in a 2-horse trailer, my little bumper pole trailer. So it wasn't like he had a big box stall or anything. He was in a normal a normal straight load bumper pull trailer, and I wanted to be as fair to him as I could, knowing that. So I split the trip up in 2 days. So we did like 6 hours each day. And we left Tampa, and then we stopped in Auburn, and we stayed with Michelle, Jess.
Nice. Absolutely.
God, her
fun.
farm is beautiful, by the way.
Is it not beautiful? It's beautiful.
God. It's a lovely place. And she was just the most gracious host and made us this like gourmet dinner. And then we got up early the next day and hit the road again, drove through Nashville, made it to Kentucky. But luckily, truck, trailer, horse all made it fine. Wyatt handled the trip really well. You know, as a thoroughbred, they kind of like shrink sometimes when they come off the trailer. So I was worried about him. I had started feeding him actually the Purina Omega Match Balancer about like a month before, because it has a full dose of Outlast in it, just to give him some extra gastric support. And just knowing that he would be off pasture for a whole week, I thought it was not a bad calorie addition for him for the trip. So he was eating that. I obviously ulcer guarded him the whole time before and after the trip too. And before he got on the trailer each day, I gave him a big bucket of Gallagher's water so I could physically with my own eyes watch him drink,
Right.
Because he, once we got on the trailer, we would stop for gas and I would offer him water and he wanted nothing to do with it. So I'm glad I did that every day. But knock on wood, like the trip to and from went really well. He handled it all very well. It was easy, no tire blowouts. Everything was great. We didn't even really hit traffic. Like, it was amazing when you think about it. So it went well.
So what was the like total atmosphere like? Because I saw a lot of like you posting and like also, Kristen, who we had on the podcast. It looked like a really fun atmosphere, but like, tell us about it. Like, how was the Kentucky Horse Park in the fall? You actually got to like see leaves change. I'm sure that was exciting, like you said.
Yeah. So you got to remember, I've only been to the horse park for Land Rover. Literally, that's the only time I've been there. So, and it's such a massive venue that does so many other things through the year. And then it has obviously the museum with lots of racing history and thoroughbred history, and all different kinds of barns filled with all different kinds of horses. Like, there's so much to the horse park that you don't get to see for just one weekend in April. So it felt completely different than the last time I had been there, which was kind of cool. It was just like the whole venue was turned out beautifully for fall with like beautiful gourds and mum arrangements. The Retired Racehorse Project did a lovely job in all the rings, but it felt like a horse show, like I'd never had a horse there in the stalls before. And it was very easy to settle in. And luckily, since I'd been there, I kind of knew my way around. It was easy to get around. The footing in the rings is excellent. There was actually a Darius Rucker concert there the week the makeover was going on. Yeah, it was in Rolex Arena. So in previous years, the dressage ran in Rolex Arena at the makeover, but not this year because Darius Rucker was there. So I think it was
super cool.
Yeah, I think it was Thursday, and then the concert was Friday night. So Thursday, I did dressage for the makeover, and you were just listening to Darius Rucker's band sound check like literally all day. It was so loud, but they were just like jamming all day. It was kind of fun to listen to. I don't think the horses got any sleep Friday night, but
probably not.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. The makeover, they do a really lovely job. It's just it's really a horse show for anybody. Like, it doesn't matter your experience level, your background. There were cowgirls, there were polo girls, there were ranch girls, there were show hunter. You know what I mean? Like, you just saw
super fun.
Every culture of horse girl that exists was there, and everyone is so kind and so nice and complimentary. Like, I love your boots, I love your breeches. Oh my God, your horse is so cute. Your test was amazing. Like, people are just like, compliments are falling out of their mouths just because everyone's so happy to be there. And you feel this sense of camaraderie with other competitors just because the whole goal of the makeover experience is just to get there. You know what I mean?
Well, it's such a short period of time that everyone's like, I made it. Like, I did it. And they're so excited. Yeah.
So it's a big party because you're celebrating the breed. You're celebrating just all the work you put into the horses. And then you're with all the people, like the only people who understand everything he just went through for the last 10 months, you know?
Right.
It was, it's very unique in that way. Like, it's giving me chills thinking about it. 'Cause like no one is a stranger at the makeover. People were so freaking friendly. It was just really nice. It was very cool.
That's so nice. So let's shift gears. Now you have to talk about like, how did you prepare? Like, did you do anything special to like help Wyatt prepare for the environment, knowing it could be quite big? And if so, like at what point where you're like, thank goodness I did X, Y, and Z to do this, to get there?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I know this one came from a few listeners who posted in our Facebook group.
I thought they were great.
Yeah, me too. I appreciate all the questions. So yes, this is a big horse show environment. It almost made me feel like a mini Land Rover because like I had to do a jog. I had to.
Yeah. So I'm like, so you're basically like knowing it's going to be all these people. Like, what did you do? Or did you just wing it and say, I got it?
So, you know, Wyatt was a very different ride for me. Like, he couldn't be more opposite than Mikey. I mean, he's pretty typical off-track thoroughbred. He's a hot and spicy guy. He can very easily be lit up, you know. So I knew from the get-go, like when I started working with him, that exposure was going to be huge because we've all been there, right? Where you take a horse off the trailer and they're just out of control because they're nervous or overwhelmed or, you know, mentally they're fried within 2 hours and you have a whole weekend of them being off property. So, I mean, honestly, I took Wyatt somewhere like 2 to 3 times a month since I bought him, even before I was riding him. Like we were going to natural obstacle courses. I paid cross-country schooling fees to just lunge him over logs and stuff just to get him out. And like, he needed to come off the trailer and be chill. Like that was the end of the day. Like I needed a horse that I knew I could trust when he came off the trailer. And the more exposure I did with him, the better he got. Like every time he got better. So that started literally, like I bought him in January and that started in February. Like I took him to the 3 Lakes, like USCA rated horse trial, and all he did was stand around. That was the first outing. Like listen to the announcer on the loudspeaker, watch horses run cross country, watch horses in the show jumping arena. And he was losing his mind. He stepped on my foot. I went home with like 3 big fat purple toes that day. He was awful, but you had to start somewhere, right? And then the last horse show I took him to was a jumper show at our biggest venue in Tampa that hosts all of our rated series. And he won grand champion in the show jumping. Like the horse just came so far, nice. So quick. But it was paying the money to go do stuff all the time, you know? So, and I really, you kind of had to like grit your teeth and close your eyes a little bit, like through the bad stuff in the beginning. Like we definitely did a lot of starter horse trials where like we were 100% out of control. But over time it got better, you know? So it's okay that it's ugly. You know what I mean? It's part of the process. So I know another question was like, with that training process, how did I know that he was ready? You know, I think like the last horse show we did was that jumper show where he did quite well. I mean, I remember going to that jumper show, and it's a pretty big environment. It's part of the fairgrounds. There was actually a concert going on there too that weekend. And
so you were really prepared. You were like,
right?
I checked all the boxes. I'm going to go to every horse show that has a concert at it, and I'll be good to go.
And it was like a techno rave band, and it was like,
oh gosh,
it was awful and so loud. And I remember like the noise of it bouncing off the windows of like the show office and stuff. It was terrible. And Wyatt was a nutcase that weekend. Like we got there on the Friday and I actually had like a person who was interested in buying him that wanted to come try him at the horse show. And I called them and was like, don't come.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Like this is not the right day for him. And he was like wild that first day. I just couldn't get him to settle. But then you just can't give up. And then he had to spend the night over in the stall. And the next day he was better. And then by the second day of the show, he was absolutely rideable. You know, it's just
that's perfect.
You can't give up is how I know he was ready. And even at the makeover, I mean, the horse spent 2 days in the trailer, hadn't been turned out, and the first day that I could school him in the rings and it was ticketed schooling, he was super tense. Everything was ugly, but the goal of the day was just to get him around and get that energy out. You know, I didn't expect him to like lay down You're right. Lay down a beautiful soft dressage test on the schooling day. It's just to get him to feel comfortable with his bearings, So he's still a green horse. They're all green horses,
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was ready, but he had seen enough stuff where it shouldn't have blown his mind, I guess is what I would say.
No, I think that's really fair, especially with everything you did. But so I know you competed in the tip championship as well. How was that?
Yeah, so the Thoroughbred incentive program is run through the Jockey Club, which is very cool. It's all about thoroughbred aftercare. The mission is very similar to the Retired Racehorse Project. So they run the dressage championships and the Western championships. It's like ranch and barrel racing, I think, at the same time as the makeover. So how that works, I'm sure a lot of you have seen tip classes at your local circuits, a lot of schooling shows, and I think some rated shows offer the tip incentive stuff. And you qualify based on how your horses place at your local shows in these divisions. And then if you have so many points, yada, yada, then you can go to the championship. So the Hunter Jumper Championships run in Aiken, I think a couple weeks before. And then I think the eventing championships run through the AACs. So it depends on the discipline. But so naturally, since dressage was happening at the same time, they let the makeover horses cross enter. And I was like, cool. It gets the horse out of the stall, more experience in the ring. So we did 2 dressage tests. We did the training level division while we were there, and he took home ribbons. He did great. So it's just an extra way to get in the ring and handle a different horse show. But while we were there, honestly, it was cheap too. I think it was an extra $200 to run the tip championship. So for me, I was thinking the horse is going to be here all week. If it gets him out of the stall, especially just doing a couple of training level dressage tests, is just a nice way to keep them hacking around. So I would recommend it if you're considering the makeover.
Okay. So big question now. So what was your favorite moment of the whole competition?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I don't know. Okay, so I can narrow it down to 3-ish things.
Okay,
so,
do it.
When I signed up for this, I needed a horse that wanted to event because I couldn't pass up the opportunity to run the cross country course at the Kentucky Horse Park, right? I mean, it is the course that Doug rides on at Land Rover. You know what I mean? When was I ever going to get this opportunity again? So that was very cool, and Wyatt handled it very well, and I had a lot of fun. But I will tell you, the most rewarding moment probably for me personally was the dressage day. Wyatt is not a relaxed guy. He's just never going to be the soft kick ride guy. He's got a motor. He's a little worried. It's hard to get him to let go of that tension in his body. And on Thursday during Darius Rucker's sound check, I just thought he really showed everything that we had, all the training I'd put into that horse in 10 months really, really showed on that day. Was he perfect? No. Were there bobbles? Of course. He's a green horse, but it was one of the best dressage tests I've ever ridden on this horse. And it was very cool to feel like I left the show ring showing his best qualities and really the best work we had ever done. And he was rewarded for it. We had really good scores. We scored 6th in amateur dressage, which I thought was amazing. And I was just really, really proud of him. And that I felt that was really rewarding. And then the other thing is just the social aspect of the makeover. So we hosted a happy hour in conjunction with our friends at the Retired Racehorse Project. And oh my God, so many of you guys showed up. It was so much fun. We had some beers. There was a local brewery that had a tent during the barrel racing segment inside the covered arena. Lots of people stopped by and hung out. It was really nice to put a face to a lot of the names that we see in the Facebook group. So that was really cool too. People who wanted to come say hi and hang out. It was nice to meet a bunch of listeners.
So what's next for Wyatt?
Oh man. So I have big news actually, and it's sad. I'm very conflicted.
Did you sell him?
I sold him.
Aww.
So just this week, but actually it was a lady in Kentucky who saw him at the makeover, and she is an adult amateur eventer who rode some serious tracks back in the day and is looking for something to do the lower levels with now, and has a farm at her house. And it's literally the best home I could ever imagine for this horse.
That's perfect then.
I know.
Even though sad.
It's hard to think that he's going to go because I do love him and I'm invested in him. And in a perfect world where like time and money and careers did not exist.
Well, really? Yeah. When you were...
but realistically, like, with my job, with my other commitments in life, I just can't keep two. I just can't.
Yeah, no.
So it's been like a fairy tale doing this with him though. Like everything, there were highs and lows, but like we did everything we sought out to accomplish. And he was going to the very best home. And it's like, literally, it's like, pinch me. I can't believe it. So it's bittersweet, but I'm really happy for him because this horse deserves it.
Oh, that's perfect. All right. Well, then you also have to finish off telling us, what were your favorite places? Like food? Did you do anything touristy? Maybe a racetrack or two? What were your favorite places in Kentucky that you got to do that you hadn't done during Land Rover?
Yeah, for sure. So in Land Rover, I always almost stayed in Lexington, and I love being in the city, which is cool. But this time we stayed in Georgetown, which is much closer to the horse park.
So fun, isn't it?
It's so charming. It's adorable. It's got this like super cute main street with shops and restaurants. And we stayed in this little, like this perfect Airbnb right on Main Street. It was so cute. We had a really nice place, but it's a horse.
You ate at a certain restaurant in Georgetown.
Probably a local feed. It was amazing.
Is it not amazing?
Yes.
It's literally, I would drive 4 hours for that place.
Yeah, it's like a very
I
farm.
would drive longer, but let's get real. But it just sounded like a lot. But I eat there every Tuesday that I am in Kentucky because I guarantee that we're going to eat there. So we eat there Tuesday. And then if we're lucky, we make it back by Thursday or Friday. But the entire joke is that the Payne family has that local feed on Tuesday because we get there on Monday and they're closed on Monday, or I would be there Monday too. But we eat there 1 to 2 times and drive from Lexington. I know that doesn't sound very far to Georgetown, but
it is. It's a hike. Yeah.
It's a hike, but I would go there like 4 times over. We go there as many times.
It's like a farm to table type restaurant. Like everything is fresh and it's a really
so good.
It's like a really nice Kentucky experience. Yeah, I was going to say the biscuits, man. They melt in your mouth. Holy cow. With the jam.
And the waffles.
You guys are making me really hungry.
It was insane. Also, the wine selection was like amazing.
Did you see the bourbon selection?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
It was it is the biggest page with the smallest font I think I've ever seen in my life.
No, it's worth it. So Alex took me out to.
Did you know they distill their own bourbon too?
Oh, wow.
I bought a bottle there too once. I was
my gosh.
Oh my God. We literally invested so much on local feed.
It's definitely worth going to. And it's not as expensive as it sounds for like what you get. It's really affordable.
No, it's not
a nice experience. Yeah.
No, it's really not bad because like they have anything from chicken and waffles, the breakfast that's like all day breakfast menu. That's pretty clutch too sometimes, but it's so good. And it's not super like dressy. Like it's very kind of
jeans and a nice shirt, jeans and a nice blouse with boots, it was very, yeah.
I mean, I've gone and probably my horse clothes. I've probably been in worse than what they like me to be in, but
they're cool. Yeah.
They're amazing. No, local feed is hands down. I was like, please tell me you did not miss Georgetown without that. But
no, Alex was very cute. So we went the Wednesday at the end of, it was the day I competed in eventing. And at the time, so it was the first day of competition and there was still a whole nother day to go. But at the end of the first day, I was the top placed adult amateur rider in eventing. And so it was like a good day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Alex was like, I know where to go. He was really cute and romantic and very sweet.
So cute.
So it was very nice. Yeah. It was a good day overall.
I can't believe you didn't you would have just like destroyed Doug. Like he would have like sunk 4 holes if you had told him earlier that you went to local feed before he had last. Because he would fly anywhere, he would drive anywhere to go to local feed. Like that is probably one of his favorite restaurants in the United States.
So listeners, bucket list, local feed, Georgetown, Kentucky.
It's not even the nicest place we've been, but it is probably hands down his favorite.
But that's what makes it so nice too. Is
That's
it's
why I
not
love it.
fancy.
Like
it's not pretentious.
It's not fancy.
You know?
It's not. It is. Oh, it's so funny.
But it's good.
I will tell the listeners. I'll do a spoiler. It did take a little longer one time when I went to pick up takeout. One of the babysitters had the kids, and Doug was dying for local feed, and it was a Tuesday, and I needed to record. I recorded at least 10 to 15 minutes of the thing while driving home from local feed.
That's like an exclusive behind the scenes tip. That's funny.
It was like 6 months or a year or two ago. Like, it's been so long you could tell that secret. But it did once, like, I was like, oh, Doug, we're like not going to get our takeout food in time. And he's like, what are we going to do? And I was like, well, we're not leaving. Like, we can't not get our food that we've already ordered. And it did take longer because it was the only time we've done takeout from there. And I think it was like super, super busy. And so I did. He drove home while I recorded at least 10 to 15 minutes of the episode while driving home from local feed.
If you guys knew the things we did while taping these episodes sometimes, that's for another podcast.
That's a whole nother one, but I do the spoiler just because of the local feed.
So I've got two more quick Kentucky recommendations.
Yes.
Another one. So we got up early one morning and went to Keeneland. I've been to Keeneland in the past, which is the racetrack, but it's like, it is a bucket list thing to do if you go to Lexington.
It's beautiful.
You go at sunrise and watch them work the racehorses. And it was like a chilly fall day. It was beautiful, like watching the sunrise over the track. And it's just such a charming, classic American track. It's just a beautiful place. And then you have breakfast at the track kitchen where you're literally in like it feels like a cafeteria, but the breakfast was amazing, to be honest. And it's cheap. And you're sitting with you're sitting with jockeys, you're sitting with race trainers, you're sitting with people from all walks of life that horses touch in that cafeteria. It's really cool. And it's really worthwhile doing that. So we did that one morning. And then the last recommendation was Alex really needed barbecue. So we went to Red State, which is real close to the horse park. I mean, and there was a line out the door, and you just knew it was good because there was a line out the door. It was excellent. I had beer cheese grits that I will remember for the rest of my life, man.
I don't do grits, but I didn't even know they made those.
Oh, my God. It was like, I'm a big grits person. I'm just a big cheese person. So then you combine the two.
Feel like golden for you.
It was unreal. Also, shout out to whoever... I'm sorry I didn't get your name at the time, but Alex was like, oh my God, you're famous. We were sitting down to eat and somebody recognized me as Justine from Hillsdown Happy Hour. And that's the first time that's ever happened to me at a restaurant. So thank you for saying hello. It's kind of funny. But anyways, those were my quick tourist things. We didn't do it a whole lot because we were at a horse show, you know, but yeah, all good things that you should try the next time you're in Kentucky.
All right. Well, it's that time again. I think, Justine, are you ready? You want to do your rose and thorn?
I do. So I feel like I've already done all the makeover ones. But I do have a good rose that kind of ties into the makeover too. So I got a new dog and we've had her
for what?
Yes, I got a new dog.
How did I miss that?
I've actually had her for a few months. I remembered too late after we taped the last podcast to use it as my rose and thorn. And I'm like, man.
What did you get?
I got a Shiba Inu. And have you seen them?
They're yes. Now, yes.
Little Japanese dogs. They're from the cryptocurrency, the Dogecoin face.
Yes, you talked about her a little bit, but yes. Okay, so I thought there was like something else, but yes, so cute.
So her name is Yuki, but I got her from a horse person. I got her from Dorothy Crowell, who's a longtime eventer, Crawl. Who lives in Ocala, who is also a big Thoroughbred fan. She is instrumental in making the classic 3-day event formats happen here in Florida.
Yes.
I've ridden in multiple clinics with her. I love her to death. She's a serious eventer and just a cool person. So they found this dog actually, and we're looking to rehome it. And I just saw her post on Facebook and called her. And I met her at Majestic Oaks, an eventing venue of all places, to meet the dog. And it all worked out. She's a 2-year-old Shiba and is adorable, just cute as a button. Also very bad, needs lots of training, but I'm up for that challenge.
So that's your thorn.
Yeah. Yes, she is quite bad, but we will fix the little things that are bad. But God, she's so darn cute. She's lucky she's cute. So that is my rose and thorn.
That's amazing.
What about you, Jess?
So my thorn is, it's not terrible. It's just more annoying, to be honest, which other parents will understand, is I haven't gotten like the plague yet, but I just have like, that sinus kind of thing. And I'm 99.9% sure it came from my children from school.
Ugh.
And so I'm getting that first year children go to school kind of just like sickness kind of thing. And that is like definitely my thorn, because I'm not sick, but I don't feel great. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, and all my friends are like, oh, your kids are in school for the first year. And I'm thinking, oh man, is this going to be a whole year? And so I guess my thorn is not just that I don't feel so terrible right now, as I think that the future scares me. It's like, is this like normal for a year or two or whatever? Because, they say that like once they start school, they're like petri dishes and they bring home everything. And
Right.
then I saw this horrible like Instagram TikTok thing that was like, oh, want to know the special for the week? And it's like whatever sickness the kids have. And I'm like, oh no, that sounds terrible. So my thorn is that you can hear it finally, is like that I just don't feel great. And I'm scared that there's more to come because my kids are in school now. So that is my thorn. And then I have kind of like a 2-part rose, because we're finishing up show season. We've had a really, really good show season, and Maryland was amazing, and so proud of Doug and Quantum, and they were so great. But on a non-related horse thing that I'm even more excited about is it's my birthday weekend coming up. And I say that because I used to be a month. And so I think that just a weekend is totally fine to say that, because I feel like, it's the whole weekend is fine. But my mother's coming in town to go with a friend of our, Catherine, who you guys know from Ride Equisafe. We are going to see Matt Rife at the comedy.
Cool.
Like, so like really, really like Catherine's like beyond obsessed with him as a comedian, and he's playing in Durham this weekend. So we are going there to watch him. So he's the real cute comedian that basically like just goes after half the audience, and it's really funny. So we did not pick upfront seats because we didn't want to get roasted, but we're going to watch it. So I'm super, super excited about that.
That sounds fun.
So yeah, I'm really excited about that.
What about you, Ellie?
Ellie?
Oh boy. So clearly my rose was the whole Buck Brannaman clinic. Been on my bucket list since I was 8 years old. So just like, I'm still like trying to digest all, like I've looked at like the notes that I took and the notes that like my mom took about like things that he said about like me and Q. And I'm just like, I'm still like trying to process. I've received so much information. I haven't felt like this since like crazy lectures in college. So I'm like still trying to like slowly weave through it, but it was just an incredible experience. So that's,
I think you told us a little bit about it in the last episode, but yeah, we'd love to hear more when you're ready
For
to
sure.
digest everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I
once you go through all your notes.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to do like a Patreon like mini-sode for you guys, and I will definitely write about it on Heels Down. I just need like to still get through everything. I've just been running a mile a minute, and this has been my first, like this past weekend has been my first weekend like not doing something. So I'm very grateful like have some time to just like decompress. It doesn't happen to me a lot. I know it happens a lot for you, Jess, but for me, I'm like, I need to be home and I need to take off my bra and like just
I get home for 2 weeks and I am like never been more excited. I'm like, this is amazing. So I get it.
But my thorn is that I'm really struggling with like, I mean, Batman's through his rehab process, but I'm struggling a lot because his back has changed so much. I mean, partially probably because he's 16, right? But then also, he's never, with how bad his injury was, he's never going to really use himself as much as he did. So his saddle that he's used for 5 years that's fit him great doesn't really work now since his top line just isn't where it used to be. And so I've tried a whole bunch of different saddles and nothing is working. And so I'm literally riding him in my Devaku and so he looks like he's a cute little English horse. So it doesn't matter, but that's what I've been doing because I worked for a saddle fitter for English saddles. Like I understand how saddle fit works, but it is so hard with Western saddles because there's so much you can't see and feel with all the skirts and everything. And yeah. So if anyone knows of any good like custom tree makers or even like Western saddle fitters, let me know because that is my current debacle is figuring that out because I'm at the point where I'm just like, screw it. You'll be bareback for the rest of your life. I don't even care at this point. So
that's amazing.
All right. So we do have an interesting mailbag. So Jennifer posted in our Facebook group sharing a really cute picture of her chestnut horse looking for Halloween costume ideas for horses. And it just got me thinking and giggling about the many bad Halloween costumes I've done with my horses over the years. And maybe I'll have to dig out some photos, but I thought, do you guys want to go down memory lane? Do you have any like good standout costumes that you want to share?
So I don't in particular, but I got a picture of one of my dad's old horses that we had sold. I think this was last year, the year before that I got the picture. And she dressed this big, big gray horse. I mean, he's like white gray, right? She dressed him up as a Dalmatian and she went as Cruella de Vil. And hands down, it was amazing. Like the hair, the outfit. I was like, as soon as I like saw the question, I was like, I have nothing because I don't think I could ever top or it was such a great, I'll have to find the picture and share it with the group because to be honest, it was hands down like better than when you see a kid, a little pony and all the rest. It was perfect because he's like 17 to 18 hands. Like he was a big giraffe looking horse and like it beat every pony I've seen. That's super cute.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. What about you, Ellie? I feel like you've got to have some good ones.
Yeah, I feel like Ellie has some good ones for us.
Okay, so one of my favorite things right at the barn I grew up at was like we always had schooling shows and she always hosted the show closest to Halloween. And so it's been, I have done this since I did it with my 35-year-old Appaloosa. I'm like, this was like always my like go-to event. And I would like think about it like all year long. So I've done quite a few funny ones, some not so great ones. I'm like, man, I could have done so much better. But I think the top ones would have to be one of the years with Berkeley, whatever year that Miley Cyrus came out with that like wrecking ball.
Oh gosh.
I made Berkeley into the wrecking ball and I wore a nude suit. And I like had my sister play that song and that was my costume. I had like this like dowel that I wrapped a chain around. So it was literally like Berkeley was the wrecking ball.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
That was a fun one. Then my sister and we did 3 blind mice with her Connemara pony that only had one eye. So it was kind of cute. Oh, my mom one time made this like intense costume. So she had this, it sounds like the weirdest cross ever. And it probably was, but you couldn't really tell. She had a Belgian Arab, which I don't know how one would pray that Belgian was the mom, right? But so she made this like like those big like 18-wheeler like wide load, trucks that you'll see like hauling like those halves of houses and things. and they have like the big signs, like the big wide load signs and stuff. My mom literally made one for her horse's butt. And she like got this like construction outfit for herself. And it was just really funny because that horse's butt was literally like 3 butts wide. So that was just a really good one.
Oh my gosh.
Oh goodness. That was like, it was always just the favorite part of the year. I mean, it's kind of funny foreshadowing because before I had Batman, I went as Batman and made Berkeley into the Batmobile. Like I draped tires over his like shoulders and his butt. He was only 4 at the time, so that's kind of impressive. I'm just gonna throw some tires over you. My sister one time went as like Shadowfax and like Gandalf. So we've done lots of fun ones. Have you? So like, what have you done, Justine?
Yeah.
Oh man. The 2 that are memorable to me is I had a fat chestnut Welsh pony as a kid, and we dressed him as a scarecrow, and I went as like a farmer, and I had like overalls that were too big, and we like shoved straw under his saddle pad, and I imagine that was very uncomfortable for him now when I think about it, but he was a good sport.
That's awesome.
And then I had a black and white paint warm blood cross in high school who was like my jumper horse Tuffy. And at one horse show, I just like splattered paint all over him, like different colors, like, and literally threw buckets of paint on him. And then I had like a easel and then wore like an apron with the paint all over it. Like I was an artist and he was my work of art, like my canvas.
Aww.
And those are the 2. Oh, and then one year, a friend of mine with the same paint horse, she had a black and white paint mare jumper that was like a leaner thoroughbred cross. But they had very similar markings, so we went as twins, and we wore like diapers, and she did all like the pink stuff, and I did all the baby blue stuff for like the boy and girl babies. I actually think we put a diaper on my horse, like with Velcro. He was very good. Like I even remember we cut a tail hole and like put his tail through it, and he like,
oh my God.
And it was like a class at a horse show, and he like walked around with me on his back, but wearing that thing. He was a good horse. When I think back on it now. Sorry, horses of the past, the things I did to you. But if you guys have good Halloween costumes with your horses, please share them on our Facebook group. We'd love to see them and laugh. And if you have a mailbag you'd like for us to answer on the air, you can always send us an email at hello@heelsdownmedia.com or join us in our Facebook group. It's the Heels Down Happy Hour Podcast Lounge. Search for it and we will accept you. And if you want to hear more from us, you should subscribe to the Heels Down Spark, our daily equestrian newsletter. You can do that by going to bit.ly/spark by HD. And we want to say thank you to our partners this week, Purina. All right, guys, that's a wrap.
Cheers.
Cheers.